After a big win last night at Noblesville, Hamilton Southeastern returns to Hamilton Southeastern tonight. Well, they will face the Lawrence Central Bears on Audio Sports Online. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Royals Basketball on ASL. My name is Brian Scott. Hope you enjoy a good night of basketball here at Hamilton Southeastern. Both the boys and the girls varsity teams, they made a sweep last night as they played at Noblesville. Always a tough place to play. And both teams came away victors. And as we head into tonight's game, head coach Brian Satterfield looks to keep the ball rolling against a Lawrence Central team that is playing only its second game of the season after having a little bit of a break due to a little bit of a deal with a certain state football championship they won over the Thanksgiving weekend. Before we have the varsity game, though, however, we're going to have JV action here tonight at Hamilton Southeastern as they welcome again the Lawrence Central Bears. The JV team is coached by DeAndre Davis, and we'll go ahead and give you their starting lineup. Starting at a guard is a 5'7 junior, James Wimberly. The other guard is a 6'2 junior, Darren Trice. At forward is a 6'1 freshman, Nash Griffin. The other forward is a 6'2 junior, Marquez Winston, and at center is a 6'6 sophomore, Glenn Calvin. So once again in the backcourt, it will be Wimberly and Trice, and up front, Griffin, Winston, and Calvin. Those are the starting five for the Lawrence Central Bears. For head coach Calvin Bembry of the junior varsity team, his starting lineup is going to look fairly familiar, maybe one little change here. Starting at a guard will be a 5'11 junior, Max Hankins. At the other guard is a 5'11 junior, Mason Hankins. At small forward, a 6'3 junior, Grant Leach. At power forward, a 6'5 sophomore, Josiah Johnson. And getting the start in the middle is a 6'3 sophomore, Ty Scholl. So once again, Max and Mason Hankins, they are in the backcourt. And it will be Johnson, Leach, and Scholl on the front line for Coach Calvin Bembry's JV squad. Again, big day of night of basketball as both the boys and the girls teams, and a boys-girls doubleheader last night came away victorious. And again, a place that is always tough to play at Noblesville. And now they are back home for the wind-up of the week, where they will take on, again, the Lawrence Central Bears. Lawrence Central will be in the burgundy colors. And for Hamilton Southeastern, they are in the white as we get ready for basketball tonight. Hope you enjoy it. As I mentioned, Lawrence Central cut short a little bit of practice. They opened their season last night at Pike, and it was not a pretty affair. We'll talk more about it at the varsity game, or we'll just basically tell you they did not have any fun at Pike, and that's a tough place to go play if that's your first game of the season. Josiah Johnson will jump center against Glenn Calvin as the two big men wait for the ball to go up in the air. It does, and it is the Royals that come away with the opening tip. And they will look at a man-to-man defense being employed by the Bears. Mason Hankins with the basketball, goes left side to Max. Right side dribble, and now we're going to have a whistle and a foul as Marquez Winston hobbles just a little bit as he is going to be called for the personal foul. First foul against Winston, first team foul against the Bears. Just underway in the junior varsity game is a screen by Scholl ends up costing Max as the defender come over and Max dribbled it off of his leg and goes out of bounds, and the turnover will give the ball to Lawrence Central. As I said, just underway here in the junior varsity game, and almost losing the basketball was James Wimberly. And now a tie-up as quickly Darren Trice was able to get it back. He goes right side, and for three is Marquez Winston. Winston's three is the first points in this basketball game, and the Bears lead 3-0. Mason to Grant Leach. Leach loses it for a second. Left-hand dribble, goes baseline, tries to do a bounce pass on the baseline to Mason Hankins, but He throws it on the end line. It'll go out of bounds, and the turnover gives the ball back to the Bears. Man-to-man defense being employed by Hamilton Southeastern as Wimberly will go up top or Winston will go to Wimberly. Wimberly leaves it off underneath. Shot goes up, and a good, powerful move underneath by Glenn Calvin. And the Bears start on a 5-0 run to begin this basketball game. Max Hankins with the basketball. Looks at Ty Scholl in the low post. Double team comes, but pass is stolen away by Darren Trice. Trice, hop step in the lane, count the bucket, and send him to the line. First foul of the contest that will go against Hamilton Southeastern. And it'll go against Mason Hankins. So Darren Trice at the line to try to complete the three-point play. And he is successful. So the Bears start on a 7-0 run to begin the ball game. And now some full court pressure being applied by Lawrence Central. Royals will get it into the front court, driving baseline. Ty Scholl, he finds his shot blocked underneath by Nash Griffin. Outlet into the front court, and Trice is unable to handle the outlet pass, and Royals catch a break, and they will have the basketball. 7-0, Lawrence Central with the lead as Hamilton Southeastern looks for first points here in the contest. Left side, Grant Leach looks at a Johnson screen, gives it to Mason Hankins for three, too strong off the back iron. Trice has the rebound, and now a whistle and a foul will go against the Royals. I believe the foul is going to go against Grant Leach. And they'll give it against Max Hankins. His first, team's second. And now some full court pressure being employed by Hamilton Southeastern themselves. Into the front court now, stolen away by Max Hankins. Max brings it in the front court, gets the ball back from Grant Leach, and Max hits the three to put the Royals on the scoreboard. They trail by 4. It's 7-3, 3:34 left in this first quarter. There's a feed down low inside, and putting the ball on the court was Marquez Winston on a nice find from Nash Griffin, and it'll go out of bounds off of a Royal, and we'll keep it down here in the Bears front court. Winston to trigger the inbounds for the Bears. He finds down in the low post Calvin. Calvin blocked from behind, and Grant Leach gets a hand on the ball, and they're going to call a held ball with a possession arrow favoring the Royals. First substitution of the game is Jeff Powell now in for the Bears. He will take over for Marquez Winston. 7-3, Lawrence Central with the lead. Hamilton Southeastern with the basketball as Mason Hankins brings it into the front court. Left side, this is Max dribbling with the basketball, guarded by James Wimberly. He'll kick it back to Mason. Mason leaves it left side. Grant Leach for 3. That one's off. Fight for the loose ball underneath. Johnson gave it to Mason Hankins, who wrapped it around to Ty Scholl. And the Royals cut the deficit to 2. And as the Bears feed it down low to Glenn Calvin, we'll have a whistle stopping play, and a foul is going to be called against Hamilton Southeastern. 13 foul coming up against the Royals. And the foul will go against Josiah Johnson. That's his first. At the line right now for the Bears is Glenn Calvin. He has a bucket, and he'll be at the line shooting a pair. First free throw is good. Substitutions now for Hamilton Southeastern as Dominique Hall and Brock Sanders are now in. Meanwhile, Calvin with one more free throw. 8-5, that's the score. Lawrence Central with the lead. Calvin with one more free throw on the way. He sank them both, and he has 4 points. And now Calvin will leave as he will be replaced by Jeremy Patton. 9-5, the Lawrence Central lead. 2:54 left to go, opening quarter of play. Here in the junior varsity game. Varsity game to follow. as Max Hankins with the basketball. He gets it into the front court, and we'll have a whistle and a foul called against the Lawrence Central Bears. Eric Ross, who had just come into the game for the Bears, is credited with a foul. Meanwhile, Tyler Scholl comes back in for Hamilton Southeastern as Max Hankins has the basketball. He will leave it off to Brock Sanders. Sanders gets caught underneath, gives it off to Kramer, Jack Kramer, who's now in the contest. Hall finds Ty Scholl. Ty goes up, and he'll call traveling. Originally looking for possibly a foul call, but none came. Instead, the traveling violation gives the ball back to Lawrence Central, as again, more full court pressure being employed by Hamilton Southeastern. 2-2-1 press, as Mecky Biffle is also into the game. Driving baseline, and with a nice little right-hand layup, it's up and good by Jeff Powell. And that'll extend the Bear lead back to 6, 11-5 with 2:15 left to go in this first quarter. Bears with some pressure of their own as Max Hankins gets the basketball. He will give it to Brock Sanders. Sanders back to Hankins as they feed down into the low post. Ty Scholl goes up, and the whistle will stop play as the foul's going to go against Jeremy Patton of the Bears. It is Patton's first, team foul number 3 against Lawrence Central, and Ty Scholl will go to the line to shoot a pair. Ty with one of the 2 baskets that the Royals have in this first quarter, and he misses the first of 2. Slow start for Coach Calvin Bembry's JV squad. They trail 11-5, as now back into the game is Glenn Calvin. He'll come in and replace Nash Griffin. Scholl with one more free throw, missed the first, waits for the second, and he sank that one. Ty now with 3 points, a 5-point Lawrence Central lead. Hamilton Southeastern's in a zone. It's not something we see the Royals do a whole lot, but Coach Bembry now trying to limit some of that interior attack by Lawrence Central, and they come away with the steal as it's successful. Down low, Jack Kramer powers it up and puts it in. Good strong move by Kramer. And it's an 11-8 Bear lead as they once again look over the zone. They'll do an inside-outside and no shot. They'll say traveling will be called against Eric Ross. So the Royals, who have trailed by as much as 6, will now have the basketball. They could tie it with a 3. Hall will get it into Max Hankins. And Max will look to get it into the front court. Tries to leave it off for Ty Scholl, but left it too low. But as the Bears tried to save it, as Mecky Biffle tried to save it, it goes out of bounds. They'll say it went off of a Bear, and Hamilton Southeastern will keep the possession. Jeremy Patton will leave for Coach DeAndre Davis's Bears as James Wimberly is back in. Ty Scholl is going to catch a breather as Josiah Johnson's back in for Coach Bembry. 11-8, Lawrence Central is on the inbound feed. Johnson feeds it out, and Max Hankins hits the 3 to tie the game. Bears running as they get into the front court and trying to get through the double team was Jeff Powell. But we're going to have a blocking foul called, and I believe it's going to go against Josiah Johnson. For Johnson, it'll be his second, team foul number 4. 1 minute remains in this opening quarter. We're now tied at 11. James Wimberly with the basketball gives it right back into the corner to Mecky Biffle. His 3 is way long, but getting the rebound and the putback is going to be Jeff Powell. He's got 4 points, and it's back to a 2-point lead for the Bears. 40 seconds remain in this opening quarter of play. Sanders gives it to Johnson. Johnson from the right elbow will give it up to Dominique Hall. Dominique Hall tried to spin in the lane. Ball was stolen. No, they're going to say traveling, as getting the ball was Mecky Biffle, and as he made a move, the traveling violation was called. DeAndre Davis, the coach of the JV Bears, not in agreement with that. But with 31 seconds, Southeastern trails by 2, and they'll have the basketball. Darren Trice will return for the Bears, and Jeff Powell will take a seat on the bench. Sanders inbounds, gets it to Max Hankins. Hankins left side. Johnson from 14, no good. But getting the rebound is Max Hankins. His three is short. Ball is loose on the court, and the Bears will come away with it. 18 seconds remain as Lawrence Central gets it into the front court. They will play for the final shot. 12 seconds remain, but a wide-open three in the corner is no good by Trice, and the loose ball will go off of Arroyo with 7.6 seconds remaining in this opening quarter. Lawrence Central will have one more shot. Substitutions are being made for the Bears. Marquez Winston back in, as the Bears will trigger underneath their own basket as they move it around. Winston for three, buries it from the right wing. Half-court shot, and Max Hankins has that one rim around the glass and drop out from half court. And at the end of the first period, Lawrence Central leads Hamilton Southeastern by the score of 16-11. You're watching Royals basketball on Audio Sports Online. Brian Scott back at Hamilton Southeastern High School. Junior varsity game currently underway as the Royals host the Lawrence Central Bears, and right now it's the JV Bears with a 16-11 lead. 5 points for Marquez Winston, 4 each for Glenn Calvin and Jeff Powell, and the 3 points for Darren Trice. That's how the Bears scored in the first quarter. Meanwhile, Max Hankins with a pair of threes, Ty Scholl with 3 points, and Jack Kramer with a bucket, and that's how we come to a 16-11 score. With the basketball, Jeremy Patton, he drives right side, leaves it too high. Putback is no good by Trice, and coming away with it is Mason Hankins. Long outlet pass looking for Chris Ford, and kind of rare that you won't see something that Chris Ford can catch up to, but the ball goes out of bounds on the outlet pass, and they'll give it back to Lawrence Central. Crowd starting to fill here at Hamilton Southeastern. As the last really busy weekend, I would say, of basketball is coming. The ball finds its way into the hands of Marquez Winston. He's tied up by Mason Hankins, and the possession arrow will favor the Royals. Meanwhile, we're going to have a brief little interlude as they check the scorer's table. And while we're waiting, now we've got a technical foul being called. And we're going to head down to the Royals' end, so not sure who the technical was called on. But evidently, while they were doing it, we were having mass confusion. And that's about all we can say right now, as the one official went to the scorer's table, and as he left, we heard technical foul, but he started walking down to the Royals' end. So, in the end, it's evidently against Hamilton Southeastern. And shooting the technical is Mecky Biffle as he hits the first. They are calling a technical foul on the team. Did not really hear why, as that one free throw bounces out. So we don't have our normal PA announcer here at Hamilton Southeastern tonight, and we're not getting quite the information we normally get. But after the discussion at the scorer's table, they called a technical foul, and they called it against Hamilton Southeastern. So at a point to the score, it makes it 17-11 in favor of Lawrence Central, and they still have the basketball. Biffle, who just shot the free throws, give it to Martez Clayton. Here's Darren Trice. His shot is long, but it's retrieved by Marquez Winston. And a timeout will be called by DeAndre Davis of Lawrence Central. So still not overly sure what happened there on the technical foul. It did go against Hamilton Southeastern. We didn't see a whole lot of remonstrances from Calvin Bembry. And now the officials are actually talking about it, but the only explanation we heard over the public address system was a team technical. So we'll just have to take that for what it is and see what we can find out after the game. In the meantime, 5:18 remain in the first half, and Lawrence Central leads 17-11. You're watching Royals basketball on Audio Sports Online. My name is Brian Scott. As Lawrence Central will have the basketball. And Winston will trigger the inbound from the sideline. He'll throw it into the backcourt to Martez Clayton, who brings it up front to Trice. Royals back to a man-to-man. They briefly went to a 2-3 zone. They're back to a man. As driving in the lane, and a whistle will stop play as Mecky Biffle drove left of the lane, and a foul is going to be called against Southeastern. Foul's going to go against Grant Leach. That's his first. It is technically the 16th foul. Again, the technical foul was called against Southeastern. I don't believe it was against any one player. And on a nice inbound feed, cutting through the lane was Martez Clayton. He couldn't get the shot to drop, but we're going to have a foul called against Jeremy Patton. That'll be Patton's second. 14th foul called against the Bears as the Royals bring it into the front court. Chris Ford drops it back off to Tyler Janney, who's now into the contest. Mason Hankins. Janney, a little bit of a shot fake, drives baseline, leaves it out to Mason Hankins. And Hankins will dribble it back out. Janney with the basketball. 4:34 remains in this first half. 17-11, Lawrence Central. Janney gets his man in the air, but is cut off. Now looking for somebody to get the basketball to. Gives it to Leach, back to Janney for three. That one's long. Ball is tipped out and recovered by Mason. He'll give it to Chris Ford, left side, all alone for three. That shot is long by Keegan Culp, and Lawrence Central comes away with a basketball. A 6-point lead for the Bears, driving in the lane. Shot is partially blocked as Mecky Biffle tried to drive the lane. Didn't see who got it for the Royals as Chris Ford drives right side of the lane, tries a little scoop shot layup off to the right. Shot's no good, but a whistle and a foul is going to be called against Lawrence Central. Foul, I believe, against Jeremy Patton. If so, that's his third. And it is. Chris Ford at the line with a pair. Hits the first of two. Substitutions as Darren Trice leaves, as does Martez Clayton. James Wimberly and Eric Ross back into the lineup for Coach Davis's JV Bears. Chris Ford with one more free throw. He sank them both. And now we will have a 30-second timeout called by Coach Bembry of those JV Royals with 3:54 remaining in this first half. It's Lawrence Central 17, Hamilton Southeastern 13. This is Royals basketball on ASO. Brian Scott back with you from Hamilton Southeastern High School. Junior varsity game. Royals trail Lawrence Central by the score 17-13. Royals still looking for their first 2 points from the field. Those two free throws by Chris Ford, the only points that the Royals have put on the board here in the second quarter. It'll be Mason Hankins, Grant Leach, Tyler Janney, Chris Ford, and Keegan Culp, the five on the court for Hamilton Southeastern as the Royals go to a 2-2-1 press. Lawrence Central gets the ball inbounds, and now we'll have a whistle and a foul as Eric Ross ran into Chris Ford, and they're going to call Chris Ford with a blocking foul. That'll be the 17th foul against Southeastern, so we'll head to the Bear end of the court where Eric Ross will have the 1-and-1. So far, Lawrence Central with only 5 team fouls. First free throw is out. Ball is loose, still loose on the court, and it'll finally be tied up. Grant Leach ties up Jeff Powell, and this time the possession arrow does favor Hamilton Southeastern. Royals with the basketball, trailing by 4. Tyler Janney will have it for Hamilton Southeastern. And he will work his way into the front court. Tries to go left side, bounced it off of the knee of Jeff Powell, and Lawrence Central comes away with it. Driving the lane and getting called with a traveling violation is Nash Griffin. He was looking for the foul. Instead, he's called for steps. Back-to-back turnovers have the ball back into the hands of Southeastern, trailing by 4 with 3:30 left to go first half. Ford to trigger the inbounds, gives it to Mason Hankins as some pressure applied by the Bears. Keegan Culp now with the basketball. Back over to Mason, finds Tyler. Chris Ford makes a move, gets cut off. He finds Grant Leach. Reverse wraparound layup is no good, and the ball will go out of bounds, and they'll say it went off of a Bear. A nice move by Leach as he drove baseline, tried to wrap around the layup. Just left it short on the rim. But the Royals will maintain possession, and Grant will trigger the inbound to Chris Ford. Ford over to Tyler Janney, still a 4-point lead for the Bears. 3:06 remains, and now Grant is on the court, and we'll have a timeout called by Coach Calvin Bembry to try to save that possession. A 30-second timeout called, and the Hamilton Southeastern Royal JV squad trails 17-13 with 3:04 remaining in this first half. As again, crowd starts to fill in here at Hamilton Southeastern. It'll be a busy weekend next weekend, especially for us here on Audio Sports Online, as both the boys and the girls will be in action Saturday. Girls in the afternoon, boys in the evening. But it'll be a pretty quiet week, as our next broadcast won't be till next Friday when Coach Satterfield's team makes the trip to Zionsville. Royals will have the ball to inbound on the baseline. Grant Leach. And he finds Tyler Janney. Tyler to Mason Hankins. Oh, he thought about a three, a catch and shoot. Instead, the ball slipped out of his hands. Now he steals it right back. Chris Ford finds Keegan Culp, the running jumper is no good. It'll go out of bounds off of the Royals. Mason, he had all the intentions of a catch-and-shoot three, but as he went up, he lost the ball. Eric Ross of the Bears couldn't control it either, and in the end, Hamilton Southeastern comes away empty. Winston gets the ball into the hands of Jeff Powell. Powell's shot's no good. Culp comes away with a rebound finally for Southeastern. Tyler Janney brings it into the front court. Left side, Mason Hankins finds Chris Ford for three. That one's just off the rim, and the rebound is controlled by the Bears, James Wimberly. Wimberly tries to pass it, and stealing it out of midair and making the layup is Grant Leach. Good play by Grant. And it's coming back the other way, and we'll have a foul on the floor. It was Jeff Powell stopped. He was going to go up, and they're going to say he was fouled by Keegan Culp. It's Keegan's first, but it's the 8th team foul against Southeastern. So Powell will go to the line for the 1-on-1. Bears have likewise, they haven't made a shot from the field yet, as Powell's free throw is no good, and it's tapped out of bounds by Nash Griffin of Lawrence Central, and we'll go back to Hamilton Southeastern. 17-15, the Bears lead as Max Hankins is set to check back in for the Royals. He will do so for Mason Hankins. Royals have gotten a Grant Leach bucket on a steal of the inbounds pass. Darren Trice is going to return for the Bears, as will Mecky Biffle. As James Wimberly and Jeff Powell will depart. 17-15. Royals have never led. They have tied it once. Leach looking to get the ball in, and he tried to give it to Mason Hankins and then threw it out of bounds. Grant with having all sorts of problems trying to get the ball in, tried to lay a little bounce pass to Max, but it was so low Max couldn't retrieve the basketball. Goes out of bounds, and the Bears have it. Up by 2 with 2:09 left, and now this time on the inbounds, Marquez Winston is the player that can't control the ball, this time for Lawrence Central, and the ball goes back to Southeastern. Both teams have been using a bit of a press, though this time Lawrence Central is going to back out of it, as Tyler Janney will just have ball pressure by Eric Ross. Janney finds Ford to Max Hankins. Right side to Janney. Nice little roll by Culp. He will kick it out. Chris Ford shot fakes, gives it back to Max. Max's three is off the front of the rim and finally controlled by Lawrence Central. A minute 36 remains in this first half. 17-15, Bears with the lead. Here's a three from the corner. That rims out. Putback is no good by Darren Trice, and the Royals have numbers. Here's a three from the corner by Ford. Its shot is no good. Rebound controlled by Winston, and the Bears will bring it up court as Mecky Biffle brings it into the front court. Here is a three from the corner for Lawrence Central by Nash Griffin. His shot's no good, but the putback up and in by Mecky Biffle. Biffle has 3 points, and the lead is now 4 as we go under a minute left to go in the first half. Rather sloppy first half for both teams as Janney in the lane, little left-hand layup. It's no good as it rolls off the back flange, and at making a move is Darren Trice, and he's going to be called for traveling. Mason Hankins will now return, and he's going to take over for Tyler Janney. One of the observations watching Bears JV coach DeAndre Davis coach, unlike most coaches who are very near the scorer's table, he coaches from the corner on the baseline. Looking to get it in, they finally do. Mason Hankins to Chris Ford. Ford drives in the lane, layup no good, but he'll head to the line as a blocking foul is going to be called against the Bears. It'll go against Mecky Biffle. That's his first. 16 foul against the JV Bears, and to the line, shooting a pair will be Chris Ford. Ford, who has already hit a pair, is now 3 for 3. 19-16, 43 seconds remain in the first half. Chris Ford looking to make it a 2-point game. One more free throw for Chris. He has nailed them both. He has made all 4 free throws. And it makes it a 2-point game, 19-17 Southeastern. More pressure by the Royals in his 2-2-1 press. But the Bears are able to get it into the front court. Now Nash Griffin, as he makes a move, the foul's going to be called, and not a very popular call made, as Coach Bembry probably about a half second away from a technical, as he believes that Griffin did a little bit of a chicken wing. Foul went against Max Hankins. That's his second, team's 9th. Griffin at the line to shoot the 1-and-1. He hits the first, gets the bonus. Coach Bembry still arguing it, saying that Griffin kind of pulled Max, but falls on deaf ears, and that free throw falls out of the basket. And it's a 3-point game in favor of the Bears. Grant Leach dribbles the basketball. Crossover dribble, drives, tries for a right-hand floater, and it's rejected by Nash Griffin. But it'll stay down here in the Royals' end. As they said, it went off of the Bears. 20-17, 21.6 seconds remain first half. Grant Leach will trigger the inbounds. He will get it to Chris Ford. The Bears have been in a man-to-man the entire contest as Ford is guarded by Mecky Biffle. Goes right side. Mason Hankins gets the ball back. Under 10. 8 seconds left. Got to get on a move here, Chris. 5 seconds. Loses the basketball. Gives it to Grant Leach. Leach back to Ford. Ford with a desperation shot, and that just never had any cohesiveness there in those final 10 seconds as Chris a little late getting that shot going. And Coach Calvin Bembry, he is going to wait for the officials while his team heads to the locker room. Meanwhile, we're going to take a timeout. Tune back here in about 6-7 minutes. We'll have halftime statistics for you. This is Royals basketball on ASO. It's halftime of the junior varsity game, and the Hamilton Southeastern Royals trail the Lawrence Central Bears by the score of 20-17. Brian Scott back with you as we get ready for second half action shortly, as Lawrence Central has now made their way back out onto the court. Coach Bembry, he waited a little bit longer. He wanted one more word with the officials as they walked off of the court, and officials really weren't having any of that, so he ended up heading back to the locker room to review a first half that was rather disjointed really for both squads. Neither team really doing a whole lot of having a whole lot of success putting the rock in the cup, as it was a very, very slow, sloppy second quarter, and a quarter that actually saw the Royals outscore the Bears 6-4, hence make it only a 3-point game at the half. To give you our stats for the first half, with 5 points for the Bears is Marquez Winston, 4 points each for Jeff Powell and Glenn Calvin, 3 points for Darren Trice and Mecky Biffle, 1 point for Nash Griffin, and Martez Clayton, Eric Ross, James Wimberly, and Jeremy Patton all have played. None have scored. Only player in any type of foul trouble for the Bears is Jeremy Patton. He has 3 personal fouls. For the Royals, leading with 6 points is Max Hankins. He had 2 threes in that first quarter, nothing since. 4 points for Chris Ford. All 4 of his were from the free throw line in that second quarter. 3 points for Ty Schull, 2 points for Jack Kramer, a bucket for Grant Leach, and Dominique Hall, Tyler Janney, Brock Sanders, Mason Hankins, Keegan Culp, and Josiah Johnson all have played. None have scored. Nobody in any serious foul trouble for the Royals. Max Hankins and Josiah Johnson with a pair of fouls apiece. As Calvin Bembry has brought his team out, they are not even going to shoot. No second half warm-ups for the Royals, as they are simply going to huddle up and see what they can do, as the only bucket scored from the field in the second quarter for the Royals was Grant Leach, and that was on an inbound steals against the Bears, and he was right underneath their own basket. So we'll see who Coach Bembry elects to start this second half, with the Royals trailing by 3. Varsity game to follow. Tip-off at approximately 7:30, and then we will not be seeing you another JV game until next Friday, or excuse me, tomorrow night. Or next Friday, that's correct. Boy, I'm getting my days all mixed up. It'll be next Friday, as the boys team will play at Zionsville. We will have video of that game. Yours truly will be on the call. We do have video capability at Zionsville, as that is another one of our Audio Sports Online schools, and we do have video capabilities there, so you will be able to see the Royals in action at Zionsville. A tough place to play. The Zionsville Eagles tasted their first defeat of the season last night, and it was against the Brownsburg Bulldogs. As many of you know, former Butler University standout Ronald Norad, he is the first-year coach of the Brownsburg Bulldogs, and even missing a pair of starters, they pulled off the upset against Zionsville last night in overtime. We'll talk more about it at halftime of the varsity game. Right now it is Lawrence Central with the basketball to start this second half, and taking the little runner, the shot's no good by Glenn Calvin. And finally the Royals come away with it. To start the second half, it'll be Brock Sanders, Max Hankins, Tim Ford, Ty Schull, and Josiah Johnson. So a different starting 5 in the second half for Coach Bembry, looking for some offense. Here's Ty Schull, right elbow, and he was trying to feed Tim Ford, and Tim had already made his move to cut to the basket, and the ball goes out of bounds and will belong to Lawrence Central. Just underway, third quarter here. A 20-17 lead for the Bears. Right side, Marquez Winston dribbles the basketball, and he will give it up to James Wimberly. It's the starting 5 on the court. James Wimberly, Darren Trice, Nash Griffin, Glenn Calvin, and Marquez Winston, and a three-point basket is up, and it is good. And Marquez Winston has the three-point basket to make it a 6-point game. Here's Chris Ford, loses the basketball, and it's finally stolen away. Here is Winston, and he will lay the right-hander up off the glass and in. So Winston, who scored 5 points in the first quarter and then nothing for the rest of the first half, has 5 points at the start of the second quarter. And it's an 8-point lead. Here is Max Hankins for three. It's short, but he gets the long rebound. He gives it to Sanders. Nice entry feed to Josiah Johnson. His fadeaway jumper's no good, but the Royals come away with it. Chris Ford, he feeds it to Sanders, and Brock has his first points. But the Bears, they quickly bring it into the front court, but losing it is Glenn Calvin, and the Royals will bring it back the other way. Again, another fine entry pass, this time Josiah Johnson on the receiving end. And the Royals, have cut into the Bear deficit. They trail now by 4. 3:48 left to go, third quarter. Junior varsity game. Long pass over the top. They find the inbound. Nice denial by Ty Scholl. And finally coming away with it is Max Hankins. Another low entry pass. Scholl tries to muscle it up. He has it blocked, though, by Calvin, and here come the Bears. Wimberley will give it up. And again, for three from the top of the key this time is Marquez Winston. He has got 3 3-point baskets on the night. And he now has 13 points. Here's Chris Ford. This one's for 2. It's no good. Winston comes away with a rebound, and we'll have a whistle stopping play. And a foul's going to go against Southeastern. This one's going to go against Ty Scholl. That'll be his first. Team first in the second half. Substitutions now as Jeff Powell is back into the lineup. He will take over for Nash Griffin, and Eric Ross comes in for James Wimberley. This is Ross with a basketball, gives it to Trice. Trice, hop step in the lane, gets the little runner to fall. Trice with 5 points. And it's a 30-21 Bear lead with 2:42 left to go, third quarter. Max Hankins looking to get it to Ty Scholl in the low post, but good defense forces him to send it back up top. Chris Ford back to Max. Max trying to get around the screen, gives it back to Chris. Chris, not looking, had Ty open in the low post. Instead, kicked it back up top. This time, Max falls down, and he is hurt as he holds his left knee. On the fast break, Jeff Powell completes it for the Bears as Max gingerly tries to walk it off toward the Royals bench. As he made a move, and he slipped onto the court, and you could see him grab that knee. And they're going to help him over toward the bench. And Mason Hankins will take over for his brother Max. Royals trail by 11, with 2:14 remaining in the third quarter as Mason is fouled as on a reach-in by Eric Ross. That'll be Ross's second. First team foul against the Bears here in the second half. See, Lawrence Central's want to move that basketball, get it into the front court quickly. Tim Ford's going to inbound it for the Royals. He looks, and he will throw it. He finds Brock Sanders. Sanders cannot finish it. It rolls off the rim, but he finally comes away with a rebound. This is Mason Hankins. Dribbles, gives it up to Sanders. Sanders makes a move, and they're going to call a foul on Marquez Winston on a hold. That'll be his second. Team foul number 2 against the Bears here in the second half. So the Royals will take it out from the near sideline as Brock Sanders will trigger the inbound. Ty Scholl will get the entry pass. Sanders gets it back, lays it up. Shot no good. There's Tim Ford with the rebound, though. Tim gets his man in the air. Now it's trapped. Gives it to Johnson. Right back to Tim Ford. Over to Ty Scholl. And Scholl goes up. He comes back down. Had a good idea, but came back down with a basketball. It's called traveling. And Coach Bembry is now going to call a timeout. And Coach Bembry, who has not been happy with this officiating crew, and that would be a slight very, very slight as he is still not happy with it at all. In the meantime, he calls the timeout with a minute 44 left third quarter. 32-21, Bears with the lead. Varsity game to follow here on Audio Sports Online. They have the Jazz Band here. We saw at the halftime of the JV game, the dance team was out. All the junior dancers as well. As the Royals still have been outscored here in this third quarter. 12-4. To make an 11-point lead for the Bears. That's their largest lead of the contest. But a minute 44 remains in this third quarter. And out of the timeout, it'll be Mason Hankins, Brock Sanders, Jack Kramer, Dominique Hall, and Josiah Johnson as Coach Bembry elects to put a couple of bigs in there. But it will be the Bears with the basketball looking over a 2-2-1 press. They will get the ball in at midcourt. They will throw it over the top and get it in there, and the defense gets back. Here is a long-range three, and it is good by Mecky Biffle. Biffle with an NBA-style three gets it to drop, and the lead's now 14. In the lane, Sanders' little runner is short. Here's Lawrence Central on the fast break. Mason Hankins doing a good job to get back and deny Eric Ross the layup, but Mason's going to pick up the foul. That'll be his second. Team foul number 2 against the Royals, and will send Ross to the line where he will have to earn his 2 points from the charity stripe. Ross has not scored in this game. And he has still not scored as he misses the first of 2 free throws. A minute 17 remains in this third quarter. Substitutions as Jeremy Patton comes back in. He will take over for Glenn Calvin. Patton has 3 personals. He has yet to score. Meanwhile, Ross with the second of 2 free throws. And he splits them to pick up his first point. Martez Clayton will come in. He will take over for Eric Ross. It's a 36-21 Bear lead with a minute 17 left to go third quarter. Johnson will give it to Sanders. And the double team comes, and a hold will be called against Lawrence Central. I believe it'll go against Mecky Biffle. For Biffle, that'll be his second personal 13 foul called against the Bears. And this time Sanders will trigger the inbound. Gets it to Johnson, and Johnson was trapped, and wisely he just throws it off of Nash Griffin, and Johnson will inbound it. He'll throw it into the backcourt to Mason Hankins. A minute 6. Johnson to Dominique Hall, and as Hall gets it, he'll travel. Hall didn't have a really good idea of what he wanted to do with it. He got the bounce pass from Johnson, and whether he wanted to dribble and back up or pass it out, he hadn't quite made up his mind. He ends up taking a few steps and turning the ball back over to Lawrence Central. Under a minute left, 52 seconds remain in the third quarter, 36-21. And now the entry pass stolen away by Dominique Hall. He was right underneath the basket. He is cut off. He will put up the jumper. It's long. Loose ball, still loose, and now the outlet pass, and on the fast break, it is stolen. As good job by Dominique Hall getting back, but it's stolen right back again by Nash Griffin. He gets the bucket, and it's a 38-21 Bear lead with 24 seconds left to go in the quarter. Sanders leaves it off for Kramer, and as Kramer makes a move, we're going to have a blocking foul called against Jeremy Patton, and that'll be his 4th. 19.4 seconds remain. It was the 4th against Patton and the 4th team foul against the Bears. 38-21, Lawrence Central with the lead, and now substitution as Darren Trice will return, and Patton will sit down with 4 fouls. Hankins gets it into Kramer, and they move it around back to Mason. Top of the key, Dominique Hall for 3. No good. Kramer with a rebound. He'll put it up, and he'll be fouled with 10.5 seconds left to go in the quarter. This will be the 15th foul against the Bears. And it will go against Mecky Biffle, and that's his 3rd. Jack Kramer at the line. Hits the first of 2. Jack had a field goal in the first half. And substitution is Max Hankins now is back in. And now looks like he's sporting an e-brace. He will take over for Josiah Johnson. One more free throw for Jack. Second free throw is good. Kramer with 4 points, 38-23. 9 seconds remain. Lawrence Central brings it into the front court. Biffle makes a move, pops the 3, top of the key, off to the right. Loose ball finally corralled by Hamilton Southeastern, but the buzzer goes off, and that ends the third quarter of play. Hamilton Southeastern can only muster 6 points in the third quarter, and they trail 38-23 as we head to the fourth. You're watching Royals basketball on Audio Sports Online. Ready for fourth quarter action here in the junior varsity game at Hamilton Southeastern, and you're watching it on Audio Sports Online. 38-23, that's our score with Lawrence Central out in front. They outscore the Royals 18-6 in that third quarter. 8 points from Marquez Winston, including 2 big threes, has him leading with 13 points in this contest. And right now, Hamilton Southeastern just looking for any type of offense. They have not gotten anything going against a very, very tough Bear defense. Dominique Hall will inbound it to Max Hankins. It's Hall, Max Hankins, Brock Sanders, Keegan Culp, and Jack Kramer on the court right now for the Royals. Here is Hall with the basketball. Gives it to Culp. Back to Hall. Hall to Kramer. Kramer from about 16 feet. It's up and it's good. 6 points for Jack Kramer. A 13-point lead for the Bears. And driving in the lane but being called for steps will be Mecky Biffle. Biffle doesn't agree, but the ball will go back to the hands of the Royals. Culp to Sanders, and Sanders is going to be popped from behind by Mecky Biffle, and that'll be his 4th. Biffle doesn't agree, but he ran right into the back of Sanders as Sanders stopped. And again, that'll be Biffle's 4th. So Biffle and Patton now with 4 fouls apiece, and Biffle will take a seat. Keegan Culp will trigger the inbounds, and he'll throw it into the backcourt to Max Hankins. Max to Brock Sanders. Brock in the lane. He's going to be tripped. And the foul will be called, I believe, against Nash Griffin. It'll be the 7th team foul called against Lawrence Central as Sanders hits the first of 2. They're going to call it against Marquez Winston. That'll be his 3rd. One more free throw. Sanders, that one's left short. And Jeff Powell has the rebound. Here comes Lawrence Central the other way. Winston, right side, spinning is Martez Clayton, but he'll have to send it back up top. Griffin to Winston, guarded by Keegan Cole. Winston gets around Keegan, floats in the lane. He's going to get bailed out on a foul going to be called against Hamilton Southeastern. And Coach Bembry not in agreement with that, and that's pretty much to be expected from Coach Bembry with this officiating crew. First foul against Jack Kramer. As Marquez Winston heads to the line for a pair. Hits the first of two. That's his first free throw as Kramer will leave. And it'll be Tim Ford replacing him. 14 points for Marquez Winston, and he'll have one more free throw. And that is good. James Wimberly will come back in for Coach DeAndre Davis's Bears. He will take over from Martez Clayton. It's a 40-26 game with 4 minutes and 53 seconds remaining in this contest. Max Hankins will pick up the ball, drive right side, leave it off to Dominique Hall from 18. Shot high off the rim, no good. Picking up the rebound is Max Hankins. He goes up strong, won't get the bucket, but he will earn a trip to the free throw line. Foul will go against Nash Griffin. That's his first 18 foul as Max was go to the line to shoot two. It's the first of two. One more free throw for Max. He now makes the second. He has 8 points. It's a 12-point lead for the Bears. They will get it quickly in front. Winston's shot partially rejected by Tim Ford. Here come the Royals. Hall, touch pass over to Sanders. Over to Keegan Culp for three. That's off the back flange. High rebound finally controlled by Winston of the Bears. He will outlet it. They will get it down low, and Griffin will have his shot partially rejected by Max Hankins, but Max also got him a bit with a body. For Max, it'll be his third personal. It'll be the 15 foul against Hamilton Southeastern, and it's going to send Griffin to the line for a pair. First free throw well short, just hits the front of the rim. So far on the evening, Nash Griffin with 3 points. He's 1 of 3 from the charity stripe. One more free throw on its way. He hits that, and that makes him 2 of 4. And it's a 41-28 Bears advantage with 4:19 left to go fourth quarter. With the ball is Brock Sanders, drives in the lane. Little runner is no good. Getting the loose ball and putting it back up and in is Keegan Culp. Full court pressure by the Royals. But the Bears are able to bring it up. Darren Trice will go up, and he'll be fouled by Dominique Hall. For Dominique, that's his first. It'll be the 15th foul against Southeastern. He'll send Darren Trice to the line for a pair. So far for the Bears, all their scoring right now coming from the charity stripe in this fourth quarter, where they are 3 of 4. Trice hits the first of a pair. He has 6 points. Patton and Ross return for Lawrence Central. And he will have one more. He misses the second one, and its rebound is controlled by Tim Ford as the Royals come back the other way. Max Hankins with the basketball. Dribbles, trying to get around a screen. Instead, he'll pop it. Shot's no good. Might have been rushed. Powell comes away with a rebound for Lawrence Central as they bring it into the front court. He will take it all the way himself, and they'll wave off the shot, but it's going to be a foul. Foul will go against Tim Ford. That'll be his first. Team foul number 6. And they did say the foul occurred before the shot, so it'll be the Bears inbounding from the baseline with Mecky Biffle with 4 personals triggering the inbounds play. A 12-point lead for the Bears with 3:33 left to go fourth quarter. Here's Biffle. He is cut off by Ford, and he'll send it back up top to Wimberly. Wimberly has a lane to the basket, and a nice little right-handed runner is up and good. James Wimberly really with his first points of the night as he saw a clear lane to the basket and just made an aggressive move to lay it up with a right-handed runner. Sanders has the ball stolen away by James Wimberly. Wimberly will give it up. Driving to the basket is Eric Ross. His shot's no good, but he's going to be bailed out on a foul called against Southeastern. I believe this one's going to go against Brock Sanders. That would be his first. Or excuse me, that's his second. It is a 7th foul against the Royals, so the Bears will be shooting free throws the remainder of this contest. First free throw by Ross is up and good. Taking a seat is James Wimberly. Martez Clayton will come in for Lawrence Central. 3 minutes and 1 second remain in this fourth quarter. As Ross is able to hit both of his free throws, he now has 3 points. It's a 16-point lead for the Bears. Keegan Culp throws it out to Max Hankins. Max, long-range 3. That's no good. Culp with a rebound. The putback is short, and the rebound's controlled by Biffle of the Bears. He will bounce past left side. Trying the wraparound is Patton. It's no good. He had a better shot of just going straight to the cup. And the Royals have the basketball, trailing by 16. Top of the key 3 is up and good by Brock Sanders. He has 6 points, and Calvin Bembry will call a timeout with 2:27 remaining in this fourth quarter. And the Bears with a 46-33 lead. You're watching Southeastern basketball on Audio Sports Online. 2 minutes, 27 seconds remain in this fourth quarter. The Royals trail the Bears by the score of 46-33 in the junior varsity game. Hamilton Southeastern has never led in this contest. They have tied it on 2 occasions, and they have also been down by as much as 16 points. They currently trail by 13 at 46-33, but that was because of the Brock Sanders 3 that gets them down to 13. Out of the timeout, it'll be Brock Sanders, Tim Ford. As the double team comes and the Bears almost throw it away, more pressure. As getting it into the front court is Martez Clayton. He gives it to Patton. Patton puts it up, gets the bucket, and he'll make a trip to the line. Jeremy Patton gets the bucket. Foul will go against. It will go against Dominique Hall. That's his second. 48-33 as Patton will try to convert the three-point play. That one's no good. Call for the rebound for Southeastern. And he looks to bring it into the front court. Gives it to Sanders, back to Culp. Culp will kick it out. Tim Ford for 3 from the left wing is up and good. That makes it a 48-36 game, and the ball will go out of bounds as Eric Ross loses control of the basketball, and the Royals will have it back. 1:58 left to go in the fourth quarter, a 48-36 affair in this fourth quarter. And now Coach Bembry Not sure what's going on. It evidently involved James Wimberly. And Wimberly went over and shook the hands of Coach Calvin Bembry. Nothing else was called, so not sure what happened, but here is Max Hankins for three. It's slightly short. Tim Ford with a rebound. And he'll dribble out, and now he will take the three. That one's no good, but Keegan Culp flying through. He got the rebound, couldn't put it back up. Stripped by Tim Ford, stripped again by Wimberly. Wimberly will give it off to Biffle. Biffle will outlet it up front to Powell. Powell's shot no good. Here's Tim Ford, and he will lose it as Wimberly will knock it out of bounds, and the ball will remain in the hands of the Royals. They trail by 12 with 1:25 left to go. Sanders to Culp. Culp, NBA three. That one's just a little long. Loose ball controlled. Dominique Hall, his jumper's no good. Powell has the rebound for the Bears. He'll lay it off to Martez Clayton, and Clayton will be fouled. 19 foul against Southeastern. It'll be called against Brock Sanders. That'll be Brock's third personal. And we head down to the Bears' end for more free throws. 1:15 left to go in this contest. 48-36. The lead for Lawrence Central. And Martez Clayton, who has not scored any points so far, still has not made any as he misses the free throw. Tim Ford with the basketball. Three, top of the key, is good. Tim's second three makes it back to a single-digit deficit, but coming back, Brock Sanders with a nice play, getting back on defense to deny Martez Clayton, but he'll go out of bounds with the basketball, and it will stay in the hands of the Bears with an even 1 minute remaining in this contest. 60 seconds left, and the Royals trail by 9. Bears look to inbound, and we're going to have a timeout called by DeAndre Davis of Lawrence Central. With 60 seconds left on the clock, and his Bears now leading by 9, 48-39. Varsity game to follow. It's going to be a little bit after 7:30 as this game is starting to run a little on the long side, especially with all the free throws that have been shot here in this fourth quarter. So we are going to say that it'll be more than likely closer to 7:35, 7:40 before the varsity game gets underway. But we still have 60 seconds remaining in this junior varsity game, and the Royals, who have been down by as much as 16, have cut the deficit to 9, but they may be running out of time. Next foul by Hamilton Southeastern will put the Bears in the double bonus. Lawrence Central has 18 fouls. So the Royals will be in the 1-and-1 on the next Bear foul. Out of the timeout for Hamilton Southeastern, it'll be Tim Ford, Brock Sanders, Josiah Johnson, Max Hankins, and Keegan Culp. That is the group that has pretty much spearheaded this run by Hamilton Southeastern. It will be Eric Ross to Mecky Biffle to inbound, gets it in. Shot up, no good by Jeff Powell. And it'll go out of bounds, and it will it'll be a foul, called against Lawrence Central, and they'll walk the other way. Foul will go against Powell. That's his first. It's the 9th team foul against the Bears, and Keegan Culp's going to go to the line for the 1-and-1. Dominique Hall will come in. He will replace Josiah Johnson. Keegan Culp. Keegan with one bucket. That was here in the fourth quarter. He will have one more. And that one's no good, and the rebound's controlled by the Bears. Long outlet pass is stolen by Keegan. Keegan right side. Tim Ford 4-3 is long. Martez Clayton has the basketball and then dribbles it off of the baseline. 44.7 seconds remain fourth quarter. 48-39, Bears with the lead. Now we'll have wholesale substitutions as coming back in is Marquez Winston, Nash, Griffin, Glenn Calvin. It's pretty almost their entire starters. They are back on the court for Coach DeAndre Davis. Tim Ford to trigger the inbound, gives it to Dominique Hall. Down low to Culp. Culp up top, Max Hankins for three, in and out. Halfway down, came right back out. Mekhi Biffle has it, and he will be fouled. It'll be the 10th foul. That'll put the Bears in the double bonus with 35 seconds remaining in the fourth quarter. 48-39, Bear advantage. And Biffle will be at the line shooting the double bonus. Biffle with 6 points. Misses the first of two. 1 of 3 from the charity stripe so far for Mekhi Biffle. And he will have one more free throw. Biffle eyes, free throw is good. It's a 10-point game with 33 seconds remaining. Royals in the front court. Here's Dominique Hall to Max Hankins to Tim Ford. Ford to Brock Sanders off of Sanders' hand, and we have a whistle. They're going to call over the back even before Sanders touched the basketball, and that's kind of what Coach Calvin Bembry is talking about. And he just dejectedly waves his hands at the official because the over and back was called before Sanders even touched the basketball. James Wimberly now back in for the Bears. And they will trigger it into the backcourt to Wimberly. 22 seconds remain. Max Hankins will commit the foul. For Max, that would be his 4th. And the double bonus in effect for James Wimberly. Wimberly, who scored his first bucket here in the fourth quarter, now makes his first trip to the charity stripe. First free throw is up. It is good. Marquez Winston back in for the Bears. He will take over for Eric Ross. One more free throw due to James Wimberly, as we have 21.3 seconds remaining in the junior varsity game. That one rims out. Hall loses it, but it's picked up by Biffle, and Biffle is able to put it in the basket to make it a 52-39 game. Long range three, Keegan Culp off the back iron, no good. Rebounded by Griffin. He looks to get it somewhere, and we'll have a hold called against Southeastern, and we'll head to the back to the Bears' end of the court with 4.7 seconds left and take some more free throws. Well, as I mentioned, the junior varsity game running long. Varsity game is also going to be delayed because of that. And the foul against Max Hankins was his 5th. And Max will leave, and he will be replaced by Jack Kramer, as Coach Calvin Bembry not really giving any official the help at all. He knew it was Max's 5th. He was going to wait as long as he could to put that sub in. Meanwhile, Griffin's first free throw is up. It is good. Very frustrating night for Coach Bembry and the JV Royals. They're going to fall here to the Bears. Second free throw is up. It is also good. And the final 4.7 seconds will tick off the clock as Tim Ford will shoot the three. It's no good, and the buzzer ends, and that's the ball game. Final score in the junior varsity game. Lawrence Central defeats Hamilton Southeastern by the score 54-39. The varsity game is going to be about 22 minutes from now, so we'll say projected start time is about 7:40. Keep it tuned right here to Audio Sports Online. And we're going to disconnect, and then we'll be back later with the varsity game. Again, final score in the JV game, 54-39 for Lawrence Central. We'll be back in just a little bit. You're watching Southeastern basketball on ASO.